In May 1945, Europe celebrated the fall of Nazi Germany. Cities raised their flags, bells rang, and crowds flooded the streets in joy. For millions, the nightmare of World War II had ended. But for some, especially for young German women who had served as secretaries, nurses, or radio operators, the end of the war was not liberation. It was the beginning of another journey, one filled with fear, uncertainty, and strange contradictions. These women were not soldiers in the traditional sense. They carried no rifles, commanded no tanks, and led no armies. Yet they were part of the machine, typing orders, transmitting codes, managing documents, serving officers. When the Third Reich collapsed, they too were swept into the tide of defeat. Exhausted by months of retreat, bombings, hunger, and loss, many of them were captured. Their fate was sealed not on the battlefield, but on trains that rumbled westward, towards an unknown destiny. Every mile of track carried them further away from their destroyed homeland and closer to the camps of their enemies. The journey itself was haunting. Through the broken windows of the wagons, they saw cities in ruins, bridges torn down, factories reduced to ash, children standing barefoot amid rubble, waving silently at the trains. Whispers filled the air inside the rail cars. What will happen to us? Will they kill us? Will they starve us? Rumors ran wild. Some believed the Americans would treat them harshly, making them pay for the horrors of the war. Others clung to faint hope that perhaps mercy would still exist on the other side. Finally, the trains reached the ports, and the women were herded onto ships bound for the United States. For them, America was the land of the unknown. They had been raised on propaganda that painted the enemy as monsters, merciless, cruel, eager to humiliate and destroy them. With each passing wave of the Atlantic, dread tightened its grip on their hearts. But reality, once they arrived, was not what they imagined. Instead of brutality, they found something they could not understand: order. Instead of humiliation, there was routine. And instead of starvation, there was food, real food. Bread that was soft and warm, meat rich with flavor, steaming cups of coffee that they hadn't tasted in years. For women who had survived on watery turnip soup, dried potatoes, and bread mixed with sawdust, each bite felt unreal. Some even wept quietly over their first meal, not because it was good, but because it reminded them how much they had lost back home. Life in the camps was strict, yet strangely humane. They were given clean clothes, soap, and basic medical care. They worked in kitchens, laundries, or administrative offices, earning small wages. It was not freedom, but it was not the cruelty they had feared either. In fact, many were disturbed not by hatred, but by kindness. How could the enemy they had been taught to despise show them such dignity? Anna, a young secretary from Munich, recorded in her diary, "We expected to be broken, beaten, and degraded. Instead, they gave us soap and bread. It confuses me more than hatred ever could." And yet the contradiction cut deep. Their homeland was in ruins. Families left behind in Germany starved amidst bombed-out cities. Letters, when they came, carried only grief. Stories of lost fathers, missing brothers, or mothers waiting in endless ration lines. Meanwhile, inside American camps, the women ate 3 meals a day and slept under a roof. It was survival, but survival twisted with guilt. Some women even admitted to moments of laughter within the camps. A guard teaching them English words, a nurse showing them how to use American cosmetics. These fleeting glimpses of normalcy stood in stark contrast to the chaos of Europe. But always when they remembered the dead cities and broken families across the ocean, silence returned. This strange experience left them with a haunting question. Who were the real enemies? Were they the ones who had fed them lies for years, or the ones now feeding them bread? The story of these young women is not about battles, tanks, or generals. It is about the quiet war that continued long after the guns fell silent, the war inside human hearts, where guilt, survival, and unexpected compassion collided. For them, captivity in America was not just imprisonment. It was a confrontation with truth, a challenge to everything they had been told. And perhaps it revealed one of the greatest hidden lessons of World War II, that sometimes kindness from the enemy wounds deeper than cruelty.